If you're looking for trans voice training online, you've probably noticed there are a lot of us out here. So how do we know who to trust? And more importantly, how do you know who's right for you? You know, without becoming convinced anyone providing free help has ulterior motives or anyone trying to also make a living is some kind of dubious grifter.
J'accuse, Miller. J'accuse.
Hi, I'm Renee, and I'm a gender-affirming voice teacher. From SLPs to self-taught coaches to TikTok teachers, trans voice content is everywhere now, which is great, but also a little overwhelming.
Well, I think you're too much of a good thing.
So in this video, let's walk through how you vet an online trans voice content creator so you can make the best choice for your voice and your goals. A little inside baseball, but my partner in crime with the master's degree in film tells me media literacy is important.
Yeah, no shit.
Let's start with understanding who is out there creating content. In my recent interview with speech-language pathologist and founder of the Vocal Congruence Project, Nora Mahone, we broke down the different kinds of gender-affirming voice providers out there. And that framework applies just as much to online content creators as it does to in-person instructors. You've got speech-language pathologists, or SLPs, who usually work in clinical settings and often have a background in vocal health and pathology. Voice teachers, like me, who often come from singing, acting, or music pedagogy. And non-traditional trainers, trans folks who train their own voices and now share their experiences and teach the community what worked for them. All of these paths can be valid, and some may work better for you than others, but
it's but now.
It's helpful to understand what kind of background someone is drawing from, especially if you're only interacting with them through short-form content or YouTube. Because a non-traditional trainer might be a great fit for you if you have similar goals, start from a similar voice type, or share a learning style, especially if you want someone who shares your experiences, like with neurodivergence, for example. But they also might not have the tools to help when things get complicated or your needs don't match their experience. Or a voice teacher might work for a lot of you unless you have a medical issue that needs the skills of a speech-language pathologist or laryngologist.
I'm not a doctor.
I'm a doctor.
That's why part of vetting an online voice creator is knowing where their knowledge comes from and what kinds of voices, learners, or results they've actually worked with. So again, this is not SLP's top tier, non-traditional bottom tier. It's what works for me at this stage. Now that we know who's out there, let's talk about how creators, myself included, actually earn a living from this work. There are a few common income streams that you'll see across the board. Some creators sell online lessons, courses, or membership programs. Some earn money through insurance providers when you see them for a session. Some use affiliate links, recommending tools or programs, and earning a small commission if someone signs up. If they're on YouTube, like me, they might earn a bit from ad revenue. Although honestly, if you're queer and trans, that is really unlikely to be a major source of income anymore.
Well, it was fun while it lasted.
And depending on the platform and country, some may qualify for creator funds, but those aren't available to everyone. For example, I live in Canada, so I don't have access to most of those programs.
In Canada?
Now, I think this is important to say. There is nothing inherently shady or unusual about any of this. Making content takes time, and teaching takes skill. And skills take time to develop as well, much to the chagrin of all of us who've seen The Matrix.
Let's do something a little more fun. How about
Trans voice training.
But
It's but now.
it's still always helpful to know what someone is offering and how they're getting paid so you can make informed choices that align with your values and needs. In my own case, selling courses is actually what allows me to create so much free content. When I was only offering private lessons, I could only help a handful of people at a time. Now that I don't spend all of my time teaching private lessons, I have time to create and share YouTube videos, make free resources, and lead community workshops with nonprofit groups, all serving thousands of trans people who might not be able to afford lessons at all. I don't expect everyone to be able to need to, or to want to buy my courses, but I love the way that I've structured my business allows me to maximize the number of people I can offer trans voice resources to. Like what you're watching right now, or any of the other videos on this channel.
It's a veritable goldmine of information!
At least I hope so.
Transparency builds trust. If someone is upfront about what they offer, what it costs, and what you can expect in return, that's a great sign that they're thinking about your experience and not just their sales. Also, side note, it's always been on my wish list to find a way to license my courses to local libraries. So if you work for a library and want to get in touch with me about that, please email me.
Hey there, T, editor of these videos here. In the interest of transparency, I figured I would pop on here, and I know this may surprise some of you, but like many of us, I still have to pay my rent and my student loans. Like many of you, I think, I see everything online with a certain air of skepticism. Like anything I read, watch, listen to, I question the people who made it, the information they're giving. And I think in 2025, that's generally good praxis. But also, I think it's worth remembering that you aren't inherently evil for trying to make money off of something you know a lot about, you put a lot of time and effort into making, even if it's supposed to help people, maybe even more so if it's supposed to help people, because even if you want to help people in this day and age, we still all live under
Capitalism.
So I know that as someone who spent over 10 years learning how to make stuff like this, that I appreciate getting to work with someone like Renee, who pays me a good salary. Their content isn't inherently morally dubious, and that content gets to help people like me and like you, like us, which seems to be getting thinner and thinner on the ground in 2025. So with all of that said, back to the video.
It's but now.
So now that we know about who is creating trans voice content and how they're typically making money, let's look at some signs of a trustworthy creator. Here are a few green flags that someone's probably worth your time. 1, they respond to comments, questions, and feedback with openness. 2, you can find people engaging with their content, whether that's in YouTube comments, reviews, testimonials, or just general community buzz. 3, if they're not trans, they're still visibly connected to trans communities and collaborating with trans voices. 4, they're not pretending to be the only authority.
I am the only one who possibly can.
And 5, and this one's big, they're not afraid to say, I don't know, or admit when they aren't the right resource for you.
I honestly don't know.
For example, in my own work, I offer a 12-week money-back guarantee. That means if you take a course and it doesn't work for you, you can get a full refund, no questions asked. And that's important to me, honestly, because I want you to spend your money on something that helps you, even if that's not me. I also offer scholarships for every single course I teach, and I regularly collaborate with other educators and organizations like Seattle Voice Lab, Plume, Point of Pride, and others to make free workshops and resources available for our community. These are things I believe every trans voice creator should be doing. If someone is building a business on the backs of trans people, we should be asking what they're giving back. Now, let's talk about red flags and what they look like in this space. Some things to watch out for. 1, rigid binary language. If someone says, this is how a man sounds, or this is how a woman should sound, that's a sign that they're working from a very narrow framework. Gender is expressed vocally in a million different ways, depending on age, language, accent, culture, and so much more. So a prescriptive framework is a red flag.
I'm the arbiter, and my decision is final.
2, defensiveness or evasiveness when asked about qualifications or methods.
Hogwash.
3, no community engagement. Comments are turned off, feedback is ignored, or everything feels like a sales pitch.
I have some constructive criticism.
Oh, okay.
4, overpromising results with no mention of challenges.
Nothing bad's ever gonna happen.
And related to that, 5, toxic positivity. If someone insists you just have to think confident or believe in yourself without addressing the real learning curve, that's not support, it's just pressure. And number 6, and this is my pet red flag, but no attention paid to diverse accessibility and learning needs. There is a huge overlap between disability communities and the trans community, and so to not make sure your resources are appropriately captioned or to occasionally address learning differences or body differences feels like a huge oversight to me.
Cringeworthy.
100%.
That may not be important to everyone, but it is really important to me. So those are my list of red flags. But now I want to tell you something really important. You're allowed to shop around.
Let's run it again.
You're allowed to shop around. And I know that some of us have tight budgets or limited time and we just want a perfect, authoritative, correct option, but that doesn't exist. And that's the case in so much of education and even in other fields. Voice training isn't one size fits all. You can try a course, realize it's not a good fit, and move on. You can learn from one creator and then switch to another. You can combine multiple approaches and design something that works just for you. That is not a failure. That is a wise and empowered way to approach your voice journey. You don't need to be a voice expert to make informed decisions. You just need to be curious, ask questions, and trust yourself. If you're not sure about a creator's methods or background, ask. A trustworthy teacher won't be offended. They'll be glad you care enough to advocate for your own learning. And if something doesn't work for you, that's not a reflection of your ability. It just means you haven't found the right guide yet. And there are so many out there who would be honored to support you, including me. If you're feeling ready to take the next step in your voice journey, and you want to do that with little old me, I would love to invite you to my free 60-minute class, which I've linked below. In it, I'll walk you through how gender shows up in the voice, how voice training really works, and how to find an approach that fits you, whether that's with me or someone else. If this video gave you clarity, I think the class will help you to take action. Oh, also, here's a bonus insight. You know how so many internet creators have free resources behind an email sign-up? That's not always because we want to do something nefarious. As a queer creator, there is a genuine risk that one day we'll be wiped from major platforms or shadow banned into oblivion without notice. So having people who like our stuff voluntarily give us a way to contact them future-proofs that. And you can still get cool free resources. I would love to hear from you in the comments. What do you look for in a trans voice content creator? If you found a voice teacher or resources that really worked for you, drop them in the comments. Let's build a little directory of trusted folks together. That's all for today. I've been Renee, and I hope this helps. I'm gonna go right now. Well, this truck is pathologist and founder of the Vocal Congruence Project. Mother! It's what we're up against today. Oh God. So annoying. This job is not as hard as other jobs. I could be in the salt mines. The children yearn for the mines.
The children yearn for the mines.